guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm finally doing my October reading wrap-up. Sadly, I didn't end up reading as many books as I thought I would, so I'm pairing this with a November TBR, even though we're already halfway through November almost when I'm filming this. I'm pretty sure it's November 10th today, so that's on my behalf. I don't really have the time to read that much right now, so it's kind of hard for me to make like reading videos. I'm gonna start off showing you guys 4 books that I read in October, and if you have seen my mood read with me for a week, you obviously have seen the first 3 books, but in this video I'm just gonna like tell you my ratings and my thoughts on them. So let's just jump to the video. The first book that I read this month is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It was really funny that I bought this because first of all, I was on a book buying ban. Second of all, I had only heard Sarah Caroli, I think her name is, talk about this book. I'm gonna mention her name a few times in this video actually, but I just heard her talk about the 4th one, Bad Blood. I had never heard about the series before. Then I went into the bookshop that I always go to, and for some reason they had this series and I didn't think they would. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's a sign, like I have to get it. I have never seen this before, but now they have it, so like I have to buy it. So this was the first book, and I ended up giving this 4 stars. Basically, this book is about a group of teenagers who has some like sort of talent, either for like reading people or, you know, figuring out if people lie and stuff like that. These are all qualities that can like benefit the FBI when they're solving cases. So a man from the FBI, he found these kids or teenagers and basically put them in this program where they're, you know, learning to use their abilities to solve cold cases basically. I think it's like YA mystery, I guess. That's my best guess. Like I never know if it's mystery, thriller, or horror. Like I don't know. But I end up giving this book 4 stars, and the things that I really liked about it is it's YA, which means it's easy to read. The text is quite large, so it's very easy to get through. Just like when I go to school, I'm really tired when I'm reading at home. It's like really hard for my eyes to focus. So when the text is quite large and the story is easy to follow, this book was so fast-paced, so it's just so easy to read it and like get into the story because there's always something new happening and your eyes don't get tired. There's not much filler in it. Personally, I hate books with a lot of filler, with a lot of descriptions. That's just not really my type of book. Basically, this book checked almost all of my boxes off. It just didn't give me the feeling of a 5-star book. I did really like the book. I thought it was entertaining. I loved the characters, the story was great, but a really good book, and I would really recommend this. Right after that, I really liked it, so I just went straight into the second one, which is Killer Instinct. Now, in this one, we get a little more into especially one of the characters. We hear a lot about his backstory. In this one, we also get a lot more about the love triangle. We do hear a little bit about it in the first one, but it's a lot more see-through. Like in this one, it's very clear that there is like a love triangle. I just turned the light down a bit. I hope it's okay. Like there's any changes, that's why. Again, I did like this. I didn't find this as fast-paced as The Naturals. I do remember feeling like that I liked that one more. But what I really liked about this one was the character that we focuses on, which is Dean, and Dean is just one of my favorite characters. So when I'm thinking back, I would probably give this 3.5 just because it's not as fast-paced. And that's what I liked about this series. I could just read this and like get my mind into this world because things were just moving so fast, so I didn't really think about like I was reading, which is a problem that I have had a lot this year. I have a really hard time focusing on the book. The pace did slow down a bit, but it was still pretty fast paced, and overall I still really love the series. I put the 3rd All In and the 4th Bad Blood on my wish list this year, so I'm really hoping to get them so I can finish the series. This series I definitely would recommend, and I think anyone can read this series. The next book that I read is a super popular book at the moment, which is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I saw Sarah Caroli again talk about this, and the cover was pretty and she talked about it, and it sounded like a book that I would love, so when I saw this I had to get it. And I feel like I read this right before it went viral. Like 2 weeks after I read this, like everyone was talking about this book. Like everyone was talking about it and giving it 5 stars and saying that it's their favorite book of all time. I can't agree on that. It's not that the book was bad, it just didn't live up to my expectations, and I felt like there were some things missing. Basically, we're in this like dystopian world where there was a plague. I believe that some of the people who survived this plague got these superpowers, which are called the elites, and then some people didn't get these powers and are just called ordinaries. So now the kingdom wants to get rid of all the ordinaries so that they can have a kingdom only like with elites. So if they find out someone is ordinary, our main character is obviously an ordinary. Since she was young, her father tried to teach her to like persuade people into thinking that she was an elite, so like her way of, you know, cheating the system, I guess. So every 5th year, there's this thing called the purging trials where a group of elites are chosen to, I guess, fight to like be the winner. I believe they get like a sum of money or something. Basically, there are like 3 different trials, and the first one is kind of like the Hunger Games, which is why a lot of people say that this is kind of like inspired by Hunger Games. Basically, Peyton gets chosen to join in on the trials, even though she's an ordinary, so obviously she doesn't really have an advantage here. It do have some of the elements from Enemies to Lovers in it, which what more can you ask for? It's fantasy, their trial. We also have this girl who's like thought to be not as good as all the others, and then she can kind of like come in and prove how much power she has. Like, all I'm thinking here is The Cruel Prince, which is my favorite trilogy. It didn't give that. I did give this book 4 stars, I believe, because I did like it. Like I said, there were just some elements that were missing. For example, I felt like a lot of the book was very like happy, butterflies, everything's great. Obviously everything was not great. Like, I don't know, I felt like we could have used some more tension between 2 people. I feel like, I don't know, it just wasn't hitting the spot, but I did really like it, and especially the last part of this book I love, and I have to get the second one as soon as it comes out because I think that the second one will have some of the things that I was missing in this one. It sounds like that, at least on the last pages in this one, so it sounds like there are going to be a lot of enemies in the next one. Missed something happening. I felt like it was pretty long. It didn't really have to be that long, and it just wasn't, again, like, it just wasn't a 5-star, but I did enjoy the book. So now the last book that I finished is a book that I have been looking forward to for almost a year. Now it's funny that I mentioned The Cruel Prince before because I read The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, and Holly Black is the writer of the Cruel Prince trilogy, which is standing right here. This book also takes place in the same world. This book is about like 2 of the characters in these ones. Obviously I had to read it. I was so excited for this one. I had a really hard time reading this book. How do you even describe this book? This book is about this girl named Siren. This takes place 8 years after the Cruel Prince trilogy does, and it's basically about this girl Siren and a boy named Oak. So basically Siren comes from the Court of Teeth, which is a like pretty dangerous court. They're very aggressive and, yeah, like I said, very dangerous to be around. So Siren basically grew up in this normal family, thought she was a human and all this, and suddenly these people who is then her like parents come into her room one night and tell her that you are actually not a human, you're one of the Fae folk. So she has to go to the Court of Teeth, and she has a terrible childhood there. Now we're in the present, and Oak comes to visit her and asks her to go on this quest with him because like her mother has stolen something or has something that's very dangerous for her to have. Oak basically wants to take it from her, and he needs Siren's help. This book is very hard to explain because if you haven't read The Cruel Prince, there are like some things in this. You can definitely read this without reading The Cruel Prince, but honestly I would be really confused if I read this. I would definitely recommend doing that first, since we do hear a bit about like Jude and Cardin and the big serpent fight. It's not like a huge part of the book at all, but it's just this trilogy just gives a really like nice ground understanding of the world and the characters and the politics. I feel like this book was a little boring at some point. Holly Black, she does, I feel like she described quite a lot in her books, which I don't really like. I did read the Cruel Prince trilogy in Danish, so it wasn't really that hard for me to understand, and it didn't feel that long when I read it. But when I read this in English, I don't know, I started skimming a lot. There were quite a bit of words that I didn't recognize. That's obviously on my part for not that good at English, I guess. Not that it's that hard to read or anything at all. I was just bored because there were a lot of description in it, and I felt like some scenes were a little dragged out. I also don't think there were that many plot twists, and just the fact that The Cruel Prince is my favorite books of all time, I think that did put a lot of expectations on this book, even though they're not even about the same people. I think I'm gonna give this 3 stars, which hurts my heart, you guys. You don't understand. It hurts my heart to do this. But yeah, basically I just felt like the characters didn't have much of a personality. I didn't really... After the ending, I think she's gonna slay in the next one, and I'm so excited for the second one, also because I know Jude and Carden is gonna be in that one, and I thought I was never gonna be able to read about them again. Like, I was crying. It was so sad, but I'm gonna get to read about them again, and I'm so excited because I love them so much. I think my expectations kind of ruined the book for me, honestly. So that's on my part, as well as starting skimming and just not really getting into it. So those were basically the books that I read in October. So now I'm going into my November TBR, and I have 3 books to show you. Since we're already a little bit into the month, I already did start a book, not that I'm that far in it yet. I finally picked up Twisted Games by Anna Huang. Now, I read Twisted Love. I ended up surprisingly really liking it. I don't remember, I think I gave it 4 stars, and I've heard a lot about this on TikTok lately. People started talking about it. I don't know. This is a bodyguard princess romance, forbidden romance. Basically she got this bodyguard, and in the beginning they really hate each other, but you know, they're getting to know each other and start liking each other. But the thing is, the princess has to marry a prince. She can't just marry like some random dude, so it's kind of forbidden. They can't be together. Something that isn't too hard to understand after reading The Stolen Era, because I was so confused. My brain needs a break, so it's this one. So far, it's pretty good. Not that far into it yet, but yeah, let's see how it gets. The next book, I honestly don't think I'm gonna get around to read this in November, because I feel like this is a December book. But I'm also so excited to get into it because it's the 3rd book and the final book in the series, I'm pretty sure, just released, and it is, if you can guess it, Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I have also read the Caraval trilogy by Stephanie Garber, and this is in the same world and is about one of the characters from this trilogy, which I love. I freaking love Jax. Like, he's on what, like my 3rd or 4th place over Bookman that I love. So I honestly don't remember a lot what this is about, but it has a pretty cover. Everyone seems to love it. Everyone gives it 5 stars. It's like an enemies to lovers, and Jax is in it. What more can you ask for? I don't know. I heard that you don't need to read the Caraval trilogy to read this and understand it, but I just feel like it's always nice to, you know, have the background story so you can kind of like have an idea of what's going on. From what I can understand from the back, it's about Evangeline Fox and Jax, who's a fae. Jax is also known as the Prince of Hearts, by the way. So it says that Evangelina Fox saw the love of her life marry another, and she really wants to get him back, so she makes like a bargain with the Prince of Hearts, or Jax, to like help her or something. In exchange for his help, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at the time of and place of his choosing. I don't know how much is a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say anything other than what it says on the back, but if you've read the Caraval trilogy, you know who the Prince of Hearts is and you know what his power is, so I'm just gonna stay silent on this one. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited to read this. Actually, I think I'm gonna love this, and I really want to get started on it like right now. I've been wanting to read this for so long, but I've been saving it for winter because I feel like it's a winter read. Now, the last book on my TBR is actually the book that I thought I would be reading right now, but I ended up changing my mind. But that is You by Carolyn Kepnes. I also showed this in my fall TBR. This is a book to show you on Netflix if you have seen it. I haven't seen it because I wanted to read the books first. I got this as a 17th birthday gift. It's almost a year ago and I haven't read it yet. I don't know much about it, but honestly I know it's about like a man who's a stalker, and he starts stalking this woman. Yeah, they're like attracted to each other, but what she doesn't know is that he's stalking her. And also heard some people say that this is kind of psychological. I don't know if that's true, but anyways, that was my October reading wrap up as well as my November TBR. I know this video is a little late. I really hope that I can edit it as fast as possible, but I really hope that you enjoyed the video. And if you're gonna read any of the books that I showed you in this video, tell me in the comments. You can also tell me what book you're reading right now and what you're thinking about it, if you have any recommendations maybe. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like, go down and subscribe, and as I said, leave a comment. But I hope I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!